All right, what we're going to do today is we're going to do one of the more famous dishes in Switzerland. It's called Zwiebelwehe. It's an onion and cheese tart. What I'm doing right now is I made a dough, which is basically consists of butter, vegetable fat, a little bit of ice water, and you mix that all together. It's very much like if you would do a pie tart or for an apple tart, or you can use that same dough for tartlets too. And the most important thing is that when you roll out the dough, you always roll it out from the middle out to the end, and you see how I'm doing that. And that it's evenly done. It cannot be thick in one part and thin in another part. So you want to try to roll it out as even as you can. I also want to tell you in the next few videos we're going to do foods about Switzerland, since I lived in Switzerland for quite some time. And I told stories about Switzerland, the different places I lived in Switzerland and worked. And also we have recipes about the most famous dishes on our website, which is called www.chefsjourneys.com. And we have different categories underneath there, and one of them is food only. Like recipes and the national dishes, so you should check them out. So, like you see, I'm rolling this out, I'm almost done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to blind bake it. Because you want to pre-bake this a little bit before you put the ingredients into the pre-baked dough. This is a great dough too for making French tartlets, like tartlets for fruit tartlets, which I absolutely love, like when the fruits are in season, like the strawberries or blueberries, or you mix the fruits up totally and you put them in this into the little tartlets or into a pie shell. And it is a great dish. And this particular dish I'm cooking, like in France they call it a quiche. The most famous one is the quiche Lorraine, which is done in the province of Lorraine, France, but it's also loved very much in Alsace. Alsace loves their quiches. I think almost everybody I ever went to working during my time, everybody loves quiche. It's a beautiful dish for lunch, And so you see there, I have some dough left over on the side, and this dough, what you can do is you can roll it up nicely, and then you freeze it, and whenever you need it, you take it out of the freezer, let it defrost slowly, and use it for something else. Now what I'm doing is I rolled up the dough around my rolling board. Now I'm going to put a little bit of Pam spray in there so it's not sticking, which is important because when you want to cut the quiche later on, or the onion tart, then you don't want to have it stick to the bottom part. So be careful when you put it over there. You see it, I let the dough hang over the sides a bit, and now what I'm going to do is I'm pressing them into the glass casserole. You want to press it in a little bit so when the dough is pre-baking in the oven, so it doesn't blows up in a way. Some people actually, after they prepare the dough in the pan, Some of them add silver foil to it so it keeps it down and doesn't rise too much. Some other people put in, dried beans and things like that. That keeps them down. Now, you normally, when you put this in the oven, it usually takes about 10 minutes to bake in around 300 degrees and Fahrenheit, and then you will take it out and you let it cool for a little bit before you fill it with something, with your filling. And now we are pre-baking it in the oven. Then you will take it out and let it rest for a little bit and let it cool down. When it's cooled down, what you want to do, whatever you're going to put into this dish, you want to spread it out evenly. And like here, I'm using some onions, which I sauteed in some little bit of olive oil. Then I strained it so there's not any fat left in there. And then now I'm adding a little bit of bacon. In Switzerland, usually, in some parts they use bacon, in some parts they don't. And it's totally up to you, all right? I mean, recipes are only there for you to, they're guidelines. If there's something you like different there, just put it in. In Switzerland, you normally use Emmental, grated Emmental cheese and Swiss cheese. But if you can't find it, you can use other cheese. It really does not matter. But like I said, the important thing is layering it. Now I'm putting in some spinach, which I blanched. When you blanch spinach, the most important thing is you put it into boiling water and you leave it in there just for a few seconds. The moment it boils, you take them out and you put them in ice water. So it keeps the wonderful green color on spinach. If you don't do it like that and you let it sit in the water, it's going to turn brown and it looks very, very unappetizing. Now, if you don't like spinach, you can use, for example, asparagus, you can use broccoli, and mushrooms. Wild mushrooms are perfect in there, but when we put the mushrooms in, make sure that you saute them first, all right? Now, we will add some more onions, and you want to layer this, so you want to put a layer, 2 layers of onions, 2 layers of spinach, 2 layers of cheese, and you want to make it evenly so when it's bacon, it comes out perfect, all right? And now you add the rest of the bacon. I love bacon bits in there. Maybe it reminds me of breakfast, having eggs and bacon, which I love. And again, make sure it's evenly put in there. And when all this stuff is done, sometimes you might want to add a little bit more cheese if you like a lot of cheese. If not, you can go ahead and you can put on your egg mixture here soon. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some nice crushed pepper on top to give it a good flavor. I always like to have my pepper grinded in the last minute because, grated pepper loses a lot of their flavor and the punchiousness what it should have. Now I'm adding a little bit nutmeg. Same thing with nutmeg. If you find nutmeg, whole nutmeg, just grate it in. It again has a much better flavor than grated nutmeg itself. Unfortunately, right now I'm living in Nicaragua and I can't find any nutmeg. So I'm adding a little bit more cheese, like I said, and sprinkle this over nicely. And after that, I am going to add my egg and cream mixture. You usually use half cream, half milk, and a few eggs. There is a recipe on my file, my recipe file, which you can find under www.chefjourney.com, and it gives you the exact recipe of this particular dish, which is basically enough for 6 people. Now we're putting it in the oven and let it bake. You basically preheat the oven to 350 degrees, and you bake it for a little while there. Then you heat it up a little higher to 425, and it usually takes about, I would say, 25 minutes to be done. Then you take it out of the oven and you let it sit for a little while to rest before you cut it. I hope you will enjoy it.